Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number biggest sale of the year. All beds on sale, up to 50% off the limited edition smart bed. Limited time. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR from a very special location. We are in historic Tiger Stadium. In the South Stadium Club tonight, the NILSU Max program is having their Go Time event, so we'll be talking to plenty of folks from LSU, from the NILSU department. Mayor Claire Logue will be with us in about 15 minutes. Taylor Jacobs, who's been really one of the architects of LSU's NIL structure since NIL went live back in 2001. Taylor Jacobs will be with us next hour. We'll talk to Zach Greenwell in hour number 3. By the way, Russ Mitchell returns to AFR in hour 3 today. Yes, awakened from his hibernation and ready to talk some SEC football. So we have a ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
The LSU football Tigers back on the practice field today. No media availability. The Saints practice today as well. We will talk to Sean Vazand coming up in about 90 minutes from right now, see how it's going with the Houdats as they're trying to still figure out their starting quarterback situation. Brian Kelly met with reporters on Tuesday after practice, and one of the things the conversation sort of steered toward, and I'm glad it did, because admittedly we have not spent enough time so far in this fall camp talking about special teams, but I don't know if it was intentional or however it might have been, but a lot of the questioning toward Brian Kelly was about special teams, and we have talked plenty throughout fall camp about Garrett Nussmeier's patellar tendonitis. We have talked about some of the struggles the offensive line has had. We've talked about all the excitement surrounding the pass rushers and the defense. We've talked about A.J. Halsey and a lot of the newcomers and the embarrassment of riches at receiver. We've talked about darn near everything. We have not, however, spent a ton of time talking about the specialists and the special teams. And I wanted to take some time to diagnose this, because Brian Kelly sort of talked about it, maybe not even knowingly, but in 3 phases that I think are critical for LSU. And I want to remind you, since Brian Kelly showed up in 2022, this has been a major point of angst for fans. The fact that there has never been a dedicated special teams coordinator coaching on the field. Remember, Brian Kelly's first year, it was Brian Polian. And then it was supposed to be John Jancic. They had all of the staff shuffling after Jimmy Lindsey's illness. Bob Diaco helped, and they divvied up the roles. Then a year ago, they brought in Slade Nagel, who had the title of running the special teams, but really it was Bob Diaco at practice running all the special teams, and it was just a bit disjointed. Well, remember, the rules have changed now to where analysts can coach on the field. So there's really no limit to your staff. Yes, you have 10 full-time staff members that can actually go out and recruit, but there's no limit to who can be on the field helping. And so LSU brought in Aman Anand from Grambling. And look, he's been at Penn State, he's been at Baylor, he's been at Memphis, he's been at major programs. And last year at Grambling, they were arguably the best special teams unit in the FCS. And this is the first time, at least that I'm aware, that Brian Kelly was asked so directly and talked at length about the job that Aman Anand has done. And make no mistake, when you go out there's one dude who is in charge of that entire unit. He's an analyst, but he is the special teams coordinator. Here was Brian Kelly on the new coordinator, Aman Anand.
I think he breaks special teams down to its fundamental form. Many coordinators that I've had at the position, were much more unit-driven, meaning, you send your 11 guys out on punt and you work on punt. Or you send your 11 guys out on kickoff return and all you do is kickoff return. We're much more in pods where we're working the right up back and the left up back, or we're just working the wall, or we're just working the gunners on techniques. And it's really resonated with our players in the sense that they really feel like they're being coached from a technical standpoint, and then bring the unit in and let them execute together as 111th. I think he's done an incredibly great job of utilizing the entire coaching staff, so everybody's involved. Then plug in some playmakers, right? They all become now better because we're so much more technically sound in all those areas.
Okay, so Brian Kelly talked about how they're breaking it down into pods, which is true. We see that. He talked about utilizing the entire staff. Like, let me give you an example by extension. We were at practice on Monday when we had some availability on Monday, and when they're at the indoor facility, the media goes up to the catwalk, and I believe I was standing next to Michael Cobble from WBRZ, and I noticed because I was standing right about midfield and looking down to my right where the offense was, and the specialists were like the snappers, holders right in front of me. And I noticed Eric Held right there at midfield working with, I think it was maybe the snappers and the punters, the holders. And if you don't know, Eric Held's a longtime high school coach in the state. He was the head of the Louisiana Coaches Association. He was just hired this offseason to join Brian Kelly's staff sort of as the liaison between the high schools in the state and the high school, maintaining high school relations with the LSU football program. Very important role. But Held's background, like, he went to Brother Martin, then went to Nichols, where he's a teammate of Frank Wilson, incidentally, and was a specialist. And as a high school coach, really his forte was special teams. So this guy's a very smart special teams dude who's working on the field with some of the specialists. So the point being, you've got, what Brian Kelly said there, he's utilizing the entire staff. It's very clear they're utilizing the entire staff there. He also mentioned playmakers. And this is so critical because as hard as it is to believe, for as long as LSU, I mean, I can go back 30 years and talk about Todd Kinchin and Eddie Kennison and Kevin Falk and Rondell Mealy and Dominic Davis and Skylar Green and Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu and Odell Beckham. We go down the list. You all know the names. LSU's always had dudes that are super athletic. They get the ball in their hands. They go make plays. And it's so odd that in 2022, the very first game, Malik Neighbors, the all-time leading receiver in the history of LSU football, Malik Neighbors muffs 2 punts, and then after that, they run Greg Clayton back there just as a former walk-on just to go catch the ball. Just as soon as that ball leaves the punter's foot, wave your hand in the air, fair catch, just don't give up possession and field position. And it feels like you're starting to see that turn. At the end of last season, Aaron Anderson returned to kickoff for a touchdown against Oklahoma. Xavier Thomas returned to kickoff for a touchdown against Baylor in the bowl game. Now you add Barry and Brown, and Brian Kelly knows, like, they have the opportunity here to be dynamic in the return game.
You punt it to us, we want to return that son of a gun every single time. I will tell you that we are working diligently with the knowledge that we have game breakers. We know that they can flip the field. Look, and this isn't to bash anybody, right? But you watch us play, we very rarely, other than a couple of returns, which we had, we didn't flip the field with our feet. In other words, we didn't flip the field very often with the punt game. We need to flip the field and put the pressure on offenses. And we didn't do a very good job of that last year. So as much as it is about returns, we got to flip the field too. And then let our defense get the ball back for our offense on a short field.
And the defense. That's the third part. Where when you think about special teams, so often we think about the specialists, and that matters. And Brian Kelly told us Grant Chadwick's been awesome. Damian Ramos is back for his 4th year as the place kicker. Aaron Burrell is an automatic touchback. He booms the ball out of the end zone. You have a new snapper in Jonathan Ferguson. Chadwick is going to be the holder. My head's cut off like right there. Chadwick's going to be the holder. So you've got some changes there that are going to take place. But when you think about the rest of special teams, you are talking about all the different players that make up the units. Those are going to block and tackle. And when you have great depth on a team, that means you have much better units on special teams. Like, think about it a year ago when you look at when Jacoby and Guillory went out at defensive tackle with an injury. Now you're kicking you're kicking Paris Shand inside. You're kicking Gio Paez inside. Ahmad Bro has to play as a true freshman. It was a real challenge because you didn't have great depth. Well, now you're talking about a guy like Patrick Payton, who has almost 40 career TFLs, who's running with the twos at defensive end. Like, you have incredible depth on both sides of the ball, and that right there is going to make you that much better on special teams when you have really freakishly athletic and talented people running on your special teams units. So, yes, I think all the way around. Listen, Brian Kelly's first year, there's a metric called a special teams efficiency rating, and you don't need to know what it all is, but instead of like looking unit by unit and saying, well, there's 15th in this and 12th in that or whatever, or 74th in that, they take all the special teams unit, they blend it together, get an average of efficiency. And when you looked at LSU and Brian Kelly's first year, they were 122nd. And then they went to 77th, and last year they were just inside the top 40. This feels like this could be a year with all those elements where this could be one of the best special teams units across the board in the country. So a great opportunity for LSU in that third phase this year to impact it in so many different ways. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're at the South Stadium Club in Tiger Stadium. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. The official beer of the LSU Tigers. The new white Bud Light cans and aluminum bottles are available now at great local retailers. So if you're going to be watching the game a week from Saturday at your home, if you're going to the game, if you're going to be tailgating all season long, home gating, make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR and the official beer of the Tigers. All right, it's After Further Review. We're here at the South Stadium Club, here for the Go Time event, part of NILSU Max. You're going to learn more about that when we come back here on a Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness.
After Further Review.
I want to take 60 seconds to remind you about River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com. You can spell it out, O-N-E, onehourbr.com for River City's 1 Hour Air. Maybe the best thing about River City's 1 Hour Air, and there's many great things, but maybe the best thing is that they will always come out nights, holidays, and weekends. If you get home on a Wednesday in the end of August when it's 93 degrees and your AC isn't working, well, you don't want to hear, oh, we'll be first in line the next day, because you don't want to go to bed hot. You got a family. You want to make sure your AC's up and running. Well, you call River City's 1 Hour Air, and they'll come out nights, holidays, and weekends. So give them a shout at 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, onehourbr.com. For River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Not a bad assignment when you get to spend 3 hours doing a radio show in Tiger Stadium. That's where we are today because tonight, NILSU Max is having their Go Time event. And if you're a business owner interested in learning more about NIL opportunities with LSU student athletes, you're invited to come to this. It's not open to the general public per se, but if you're a business owner, you want to learn more about how you could be involved in NIL here at LSU. It's a great opportunity to come by and probably meet the guest to my right, Mary Claire Logue, who's the executive director of NILSU Max. Thank you for having us. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thanks for the invite. Let me just start with like a 10,000-foot view question to set the stage for people who might be curious. So NILSU Max is a play on Playfly Max. Explain, like I'm a third grader, what Playfly is in the relationship with LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. So Playfly Sports Properties is the multimedia rights partner of LSU Athletics. In third grader terms, Playfly Sports is going out and selling corporate partnerships for LSU Athletics, a main revenue driver of this entire entity. NILSU Max, or Playfly Max, is a subset of Playfly Sports Properties. And just like our sports properties teams is selling corporate sponsorships, NILSU Max is going out and selling NIL deals for our student athletes.
So the whole objective is in the NIL era, especially in the new NIL era.
The new era.
It's I hate to say it this way, but all these deals have to be legitimized, right? It's no longer here's $1 million for a photo shoot.
Yep.
There have to be legit NIL deals. So explain to me, if you would, I guess this is a front end process. If you would maybe just explain how this is structured.
Yeah, exactly. So in this new era of NIL, true third-party NIL deals is what we call it. There has to be a business or a business entity that's providing goods and services to the general public. Those are the entities that are permitted to do NIL deals with student athletes. In layman's terms, think of it as true influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. So the purpose of NILSU Max is to work with businesses and entities that want to work with student athletes, want to get their foot in the door, but they don't necessarily know how. So our team is here to help navigate those conversations, help brands understand the world of NIL, because it's constantly changing. We're 4 years in. So help constantly changing, help them understand the space, and then figure out how we can tailor their marketing initiatives to best align with the value that a student athlete can bring to their campaign and really bring that concept to life. How does this differ than donating to the collective? Mm-hmm. Per se. Yeah, exactly. So when you're thinking of a collective, right, typically that's just a donor dollar to an entity, and that entity being the collective, would be paying the student athlete. What's different is we're working with businesses that are providing services to the general public, and then contracting on that business's behalf with a student athlete to do something to promote that actual business. So, and whether it be a social media post, doing an appearance at that business's local retailer location, anything and everywhere in between. The difference is we're working with legitimate third-party brands, and we're the intermediary agency helping them navigate the space. So I'm certain you don't have the answer to this, but it's fascinating to know what is going to happen with collectives. That's just a very it's a very real question that everyone's asking right now in the new era. And I think collectives are still operating because you can't stop operating. Right, yeah. But I think you just have to be so multifaceted. So, one of the things that brands could do is they could DM a student athlete and say, hey, I'd love to do an NIL deal with you. What's the benefit for a business owner listening, watching, of doing a deal through NILSU Max as opposed to maybe going directly to the student athlete? Yeah, there's a lot of benefit, a lot of value. We created NILSU Max to have this strategy to make things easier on a business. So there's several efficiencies and cost-saving benefits that come from it. From the efficiency standpoint, we, being NILSU Max, handle all of the student-athlete contracting, all of the student-athlete payment, and all of the student-athlete tax documentation. So we're alleviating all of that burden from a business. All that business is having to do is sign and execute one agreement with NILSU Max, and then we take the rest from there. From a cost-saving standpoint, there's also a lot of benefits. So by partnering with NILSU Max, you get access to a ton of the resources that LSU Athletics has. Just earlier in this year, 2025, we launched what we call the brand. Mm-hmm. I think you maybe had a chance to go see it earlier. I went toward it today. First time I've seen it. For those of you listening, the brand is our in-house creative studio. It houses all of LSU Athletics, photographers, videographers, graphic designers. We have a grand, seamless studio that photo shoots happen in. And so by partnering with NILSU Max, you immediately have access to those studio spaces. So instead of having to go and lease your own studio space to do an NIL content in for additional costs, that's just embedded in what we're already doing at no additional charge. Likewise, with access to our photographers and videographers, we have a robust staff of trained individuals. They've been nominated for Emmys time and time again. It's very impressive what they do. And so through our partnership, again, you gain access to those resources at no additional cost. And to be clear, like, this isn't something LSU is doing as a revenue generator for LSU. This is being done because it's influencing deals for student athletes that you need to do to remain competitive? Yeah, exactly. So this is an added service to our student athletes. I think
in the 4 years of NIL, a lot has changed, but one thing that's been constant is LSU's drive to be the best in this space and make sure we're equipping our student athletes and the greater Baton Rouge community with all the tools they need to be successful in this space so we can remain competitive. And so that's all that NILSU Max is. It's here to be a resource for brands and student athletes to really maximize the opportunities within the NIL space.
Mary Claire Logue is with us, Executive Director of NILSU Max. What's interesting, though, is like NILSU Max is only a few months old, right? I remember maybe talking to Clay Harris when was this? Not within the last 6 months,
yeah,
right?
within the last 6 months. So we officially launched NILSU Max early in the new year, February, March.
Okay, so right at about 6-7 months. But you've been here much longer than that. So, like, what were you doing before they're like, hey, you know what? You're going to do this now.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been here at LSU for going on 3 years now. Formerly, I was in our internal NILSU unit, which oversees all education, branding, and recruiting initiatives. And now in this new era, revenue sharing. So I was housed in that unit, primarily student athlete, focusing on branding strategies, helping student athletes with their social media, and then overseeing all of the education initiatives for our student athletes. I have a legal background, so it would help educate student athletes on what to look for in an NIL agreement, what maybe not to look for in an NIL agreement, things of that nature. And then as we shifted into this new era of NIL, we saw a real need for true third-party NIL. And so with that, we partnered with Playfly Max to launch what we now call NILSU Max. So the easiest way I can break it down is for the past 2.5 years, I've been focused on student-athlete branding advice and education, and now I kind of put my seller hat on and marketing hat on and help to work with these businesses to bring some of their marketing campaigns to life.
So what trends maybe are you noticing that have changed since certainly since July 1 with the rev share era?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've seen a lot of businesses get excited to jump into the space. Obviously, we see a lot of social media engagement with businesses. I think one thing we're starting to see more of in the third-party NIL space is a lot of user-generated content from our student athletes. So high production needs are always popular, but because we've trained our student athletes so well with how to utilize their iPhone to get good content, a big trend in the space right now is getting that UGC content. And then we're also seeing a lot of businesses kind of work to restructure the narrative of NIL in the greater landscape by incorporating philanthropic efforts into their NIL initiatives as well, which has been just really rewarding to work on. Our student athletes obviously have really appreciated that businesses are investing not only in them but in the greater larger Baton Rouge community as well to be able to give back to those in this area.
Businesses or the student athletes?
It's both, so it's twofold. So we see a lot of student athletes use some of their NIL earnings to give back to others. I think a prime example, Flau'jae Johnson, right, using her NIL to help with debt relief in the state of Louisiana.
Cool. I remember in baseball too. There was who was it Tommy White for every home run he hit? There was maybe Paul Skeens for every strikeout.
Jared Jones has done some
Bear
of that.
Jones did it this year. Yeah, Milam did that too as well. Yeah,
a lot of guys on
Chris
that program.
Stanfield. Yeah, very cool.
A lot of the student athletes are choosing to do good with their NIL, which we really appreciate. But we also see a lot of brands, using one of their student athlete appearances that as an asset that they've purchased to go and tour a local hospital or go to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, do a lot of things to give back to the community as well. And so there's been a lot of success in that space.
We got a couple of minutes. Let's talk about tonight. So, I mean, this is obviously such a beautiful venue. If you've never been into the South Stadium Club in Tiger Stadium, I mention all the time. I love that LSU has opened this space for outside events. I know this is an internal event, but it's allowed a lot of people to be able to come in here and see this, which is really it's a jewel. I mean, like Tiger Stadium is right there. It's beautiful.
Perfect view. We'll have a great sunset, hopefully.
It's an amazing spot for any event. But this is an opportunity tonight for businesses to come. Like, if you would, maybe for our listener, give a sense of what tonight's about and who should find time to come here tonight from 6 to 7:30.
Yeah, absolutely. Go time. It's open to all local, regional, and national business owners or entrepreneurs that have either one, already engaged in NIL, or two, maybe haven't engaged in NIL yet but want to learn more about it and how to figure out how to dip their toe in the water. So we welcome all local and regional business owners to come here to Tiger Stadium, learn a little bit more about NILSU Max, how to get involved, and hopefully we'll answer some questions that you may have. It'll be a great night of networking speaking. All of our head coaches are going to be here. So a really cool opportunity to be intertwined with the LSU athletic staff and just feel one with everything that we're doing here and hopefully feel a little bit more educated on the space.
It starts at 6, as I understand, cocktail hour, and then the actual presentation will begin at
6:30, exactly.
6:30.
Yep. So doors open at 6 p.m. First 30 minutes are just going to be networking over happy hour. Programming starts around 6:30, and we're going to have a great list of panelists tonight to hear from, including head coach Jay Johnson. Head coach Brian Kelly will be here as well to address the audience. So stacked full of key stakeholders in the LSU athletics space to be here tonight. We're really looking forward to it.
Well, it's obviously important. I mean, I think everybody that's listening or watching all shares the same common goal, which is you want to see LSU win. And for LSU to win, it's always taken money, whether it be for facilities or paying coaches or recruiting budget. Well, now part of that obviously is NIL. And this is such an important initiative of how to go about doing it. So if you're a business owner, you said local, regional, national business owner, entrepreneur, you want to learn more about NIL, 6 o'clock tonight here in Tiger Stadium, the South Stadium Club. Just come on.
Come on in. We welcome you.
Mary Claire Logue, the executive director of NILSU Max. We appreciate you for having us. Thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's our pleasure. All right, it's after further review. We're going to knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC. We've also got Taylor Calandro later this hour for Bourbon Dictionary. Sean Fazan next hour. Russ Mitchell in hour 3. We got a ton to do, and glad to have you hanging out with us here on AFR.
AFR.
Of course, our shows every single Wednesday are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, but it's so much more. I tell you all the time about hormone replacement therapy, which is a key cornerstone of what they do. No matter what your age is biologically, every single one of us, as we age, our bodies produce less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel. You can safely, affordably supplement to get to healthy levels, but so much more than even that. I've told you about my experience with some of the peptides that they're using, like BPC 157, for example, body protection compound 157. It's been clinically tested and proven to help with things like recovery and tissue repair and muscle repair. So if you've got an injury, if you're having trouble overcoming something from surgery, an injury that's lingered in pain, BPC 157 could be magic for you. Learn more. You could visit them online at yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. And of course, as we always say, lowest prices, never any contracts. They're right here in Baton Rouge, off of Goodwood on Drusilla. It's yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
A pretty cool story out of Lafayette. Not that we could say it's tremendously surprising, but Walker Howard has been named the starting quarterback for the Cajuns this year. Love to see that. We all know Walker's story. Of course, Jamie's son, Jamie's former LSU quarterback. Walker, from St. Thomas More in Lafayette, had just a stellar prep career, came to LSU. After a season, transferred to Ole Miss, where he sat behind Jackson Dart the last 2 seasons. And this year, back to his hometown in Lafayette to play for the Cajuns, and he's won the starting job. And, man, I really am excited to see what Walker's always been very mature. I was going to say matured Walker Howard. He's always been a very mature young man. I sound like such an old guy, but you know what I mean. From 18 to now 21 years old, 22 years old when you move into your 4th year to see what that's going to look like. Of course, former Tiger Shelton Sampson is in Lafayette as well with the Cajuns. So that should be a really fun offense to watch. I'm sure there's going to be a close eye being kept on the Cajuns there in Lafayette with Walker Howard slinging it and hoping for the best for Walker and for all the guys over there in Lafayette this fall. So we'll be keeping a close eye on them as they move throughout this season. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We are in South Stadium Club for the NILSU Max event tonight. They're calling it Go Time, and we're looking forward to being here for this event tonight. Thanks to Mary Claire Logue. Taylor Jacobs is going to be with us next hour, and many of you have probably heard or seen Taylor. She's been on the show in the past plenty. And it's an interesting time because Taylor sort of has overseen LSU's NIL program since the onset, back in July of 2021 when NIL went live. And so she's going to be with us to talk more about the evolution of NIL into the revenue share era now and how competitive LSU is. It's interesting timing also because tomorrow and Thursday we media actually have media availability with Austin Thomas, LSU football's general manager. So this is going to be an interesting way to dovetail all of these conversations together. You know, when Brian Kelly met with reporters on Tuesday, you know, it was interesting because he was. Can you play 14, Muse? He was asked if because of all the restructuring now, this really does look like an NFL front office, which is the fact that you have a GM that manages things, which is, I'm using this term loosely, a salary cap and everything therein, and how you build the roster, and the football coach is still over everything altogether, but really is coaching the team, and you have a quote-unquote front office to manage the roster and things like that. And Kelly was asked if he ever thought he would find himself in this situation.
No, it's kind of one of the reasons why I never went to the NFL. If quite honest with you, I just felt like with all my years, it was going to be hard for me to give that piece up. But it's been a lot easier because I like who I'm working with. They love LSU. They're committed to what they're doing. They're really good at what they do. So it's made that kind of transition a lot easier, and I probably should have taken some of those NFL jobs that were offered years ago. No, I'm kidding.
But it is fascinating, right? Because the college job does, and it happened very quickly, it does now more closely resemble the NFL because of how you build a roster. The reason it's interesting because, every Friday, Terrio's sat in here with us every Friday for a dozen years, and he's often said this, the coach or the manager, their job is to coach the players. Like, they don't have the money conversations because you have to keep those things separate, because otherwise you carry those into the field or the court or the diamond, and it can create resentment and bitterness and different things like that. If contract negotiations become bitter, and then that's the person who's coaching. So you do, like in professional sports, they do keep those things separate. So in a way, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same thing where LSU is, every program is right now in college sports, where you do have that delineating line. You heard Brian Kelly say it would be hard for him to give that up, but it's been easier because he likes who he's working with. And if we're just looking at the results, they've done a remarkable job. This portal cycle, LSU landed the number 1 portal class in the country. They continue to land top 10, top 5 high school signing classes, and they've built a roster capable of competing for and hopefully winning a national championship. All right, it is After Further Review. Hey, we're brought to you by Supper Club, supperclubbtr.com for your reservations. God, what a great night to get by Supper Club. Any night, quite honestly. You can always swing on in. You're knocking off of work, pop on over to Supper Club. When you see Chef Layton, you're walking throughout the dining room, be sure to tell him Matt sent you in. Remember, you can always just belly up to the bar at Supper Club. You never need a reservation at the bar. It's open seating at the bar always. I hear that often. Say, I love to go. It's just so hard to get in, hard to get a reservation. Listen, yeah, I mean, there's times where it's packed. And, like, I'm telling you, if you try to get a reservation for the Friday before the first home game or Friday before Clemson, if you try on Wednesday, it's probably not going to go great for you. But, you start thinking now and planning for those football weekends ahead, and you can always walk in on a Wednesday night after work and go with some colleagues, meet your significant other, have dinner at the bar, enjoy a glass of wine, whatever it may be. It's Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com, right there on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. If you've never been, what a gem, what a treasure that is for our city, our state, our region. And Brandon Landry told me point blank when he and Mackenzie opened the restaurant, he said this was, because of all he's been able to do with walk-ons professionally in his career, he's been able to travel the world and go to many great, fine restaurants all over the world. And he and Mackenzie wanted to give this back to Baton Rouge, back to Louisiana as a gift to say, you don't have to get on a plane and go to Paris or Dubai or New York or London or LA to have this type of dining experience. You do it right here in Baton Rouge. That's Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. Okay, it is After Further Review. Muse will do the honors today around the SEC. Hit it.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Missouri Tigers.
All right, so earlier on Wednesday, ESPN's Chris Lowe reports that Mizzou will play both Bo Perbula and Sam Horn at quarterback in the season opener against Central Arkansas. Eli Drinkwitz has since confirmed Lowe's report to Kyle McArvey, saying that he, quote, informed the team this afternoon that both quarterbacks will play. Of course, Perbula, the transfer from Penn State, and then Horn has actually been with Mizzou for at least 4 years. He's actually played a couple of different games. 4 of them played for the baseball team as well up there in Como. No word on which quarterback will start the game, but both of them will play.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Josh Heupel has updated the latest on 3 injured Tennessee Vols wide receivers. We'll start with Mike Matthews. Heupel says he's been back with them for a long time, but now is no longer limited, so full participant. Chris Brazzell has been with them the last few days, still maybe in a little bit of a limited capacity, and Braylon Staley just returned on Tuesday for the Vols. Minor injury knocks for all 3, but it did take away from their time to really kind of gain some chemistry with Joey Aguilar, who was just named the team's starting quarterback. This is what we wanted to watch. The Vols have only 7 scholarship receivers, so health at the position, that's going to be paramount going forward for Tennessee.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Shane Beamer has shared the latest with eligibility with Rasul Faison. He's still ineligible, but Beamer said after practice they feel like they're just kind of in line waiting for him to be eligible. He's a transfer running back, granted permission to practice with South Carolina, and they've been having him prepare as if he will be eligible. He's expected to lead their backfield. He ran for more than 1,000 yards this past season at Utah State. He's trying to take advantage of Diego Pavia rule, so we'll just wait and see when the ruling does come down. Gamecocks open August 30th with Virginia Tech.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Wildcats offensive coordinator Bush Hamden has updated where their quarterback competition stands. That's between Incarnate Word transfer Zach Calzada, also formerly of A&M and Auburn, and sophomore Cutter Boley. Of course, Boley played a couple different times, started 4 games, played 4 games in relief of Brock Vandergriff a year ago. Completed 49% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. Calzada was also an Incarnate Word for 2 years. Hamden, in his update, mentioned that it's still wide open, but Cutter Boley is actually, quote, pushing the needle on this thing in a very big way. Because of that, Mark Stoops has been reluctant to name a starter.
The Texas Longhorns.
And finally, Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte is set to receive a contract extension through 2036. He's been in Austin since 2017. The new agreement sees his salary rise north of $3 million. It's up for board approval here on Wednesday. That is Tigers in the Pro. That is around the SEC.
Presented by Lee. And jewelry. You can start at the website. You can schedule your consultation with one of their great associates. 9 locations: Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com, where they pride themselves on the Lee Michaels experience. You'll never feel pressured. Amazing selection with great prices. It's just like Goldilocks. It's not the very stale nature of a big box store. It's not the little selection and high prices of a boutique jeweler. It's that perfect in between. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. Okay, let's knock out a quick break, y'all. Hump Day Show is brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. We are at South Stadium Club in Tiger Stadium. Their NILSU Max Go Time event is tonight from 6 until 7:30 p.m. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you want to learn more about LSU and NIL at LSU, you need to be here in Tiger Stadium in the South Stadium Club tonight starting at 6 o'clock, so be here. Let me knock out a quick break. Taylor Calandra, a little Bourbon Dictionary is next to wrap up hour number 1. So get your booze questions in on AFR.
AFR
is brought to you by Duplessis Builders. Speaking of NIL, my buddy Derek Duplessis over at Duplessis Builders has done plenty of great NIL deals with Jacob Myers, the baseball team this past year. Of course, last season, Harlem Berry and our friend the late Kyron Lacey. And just this past Sunday, I was over at Duplessis at their showroom doing a video shoot with Lamar Brown, with Richard Anderson, with Bryson Martinez. Listen, Derek's never hidden it. He's an LSU alum. He loves the Tigers, wants to grow his business and support the Tigers. NIL has been an awesome thing for Duplessis Builders. So they're going to build you a beautiful pool. And he's a mechanical engineer with a degree from LSU who's building your pool and doesn't cut corners, offers a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is 1 year. So he's going to build you a beautiful pool that lasts with a better warranty than anyone, and you're supporting the Tigers. DuplessisBuilders.net. What more could you want? Check them out online at DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. They're the gang with the slang.
Keep it 100. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is Bourbon Dictionary with Matt Moscona and Taylor Calandro.
I don't understand.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We always love to talk booze. That's why we bring on Taylor Calandro from Calandro's, the Wine and Spirits Director, to answer your questions. So email us, tweet us, or text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Yo, dude, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. I was on Twitter earlier today, and I saw that the 2025 Four Roses LE has been released. Have you? Yeah, go ahead.
I saw that. That was a couple days ago, wasn't it?
August 19th, yesterday.
Yesterday. So the Four Roses limited edition, it's small batches, something they do every year. It's usually a blend of the higher aged bourbon, and it's usually like really, really good. It's one of my favorite releases every year, and it's really hard to get to. We get a few bottles every year. This year's, I think, from what I remember, what I read was a 19-year, and a few 13s, maybe.
I'm looking at it right here.
I remember off the top. Is it?
3 13 years. That's OBSV, OESV, OBSK, and then a 19-year OESV. So you were right on it.
Yeah, and so Four Roses has a bunch of mash bills. Though, and some people favor others over others. It's a point of personal preference. Those sound great to me. But like I said, the Four Roses small batch limited edition is always just spot on, spectacular.
I know.
Extremely rare, extremely hard to get. It's gotten pretty expensive too, but that generally doesn't matter.
It's my favorite release every year. I've been lucky enough to get 3 of them over my life of collecting whiskeys, but we did a bus tour several years ago to Avenue Pub down in New Orleans, and they had every one all the way back to like Taylor 2012 maybe. Anyway, and so I did 2 different flights. I was able to sample 8 different Four Roses LEs. Like you're talking about, just like half-ounce pours, just little samplings. But it's my favorite release every year, man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But speaking of Avenue Pub, it's and I don't know. I haven't been there like during regular business hours. I've been for a couple private parties, but Polly, and it's the guys that own Blue Oak Barbecue now, but Polly, the woman that used to own that place, had a sneaky, really good bourbon collection upstairs.
Oh, there was nothing sneaky about it. Like if you knew, you knew. I mean, it was incredible. I still love it.
Well, but the upstairs wasn't always open. I think they had weird hours up there. But everybody thought it was just a beer pub downstairs. But yeah, she had a spectacular collection. She's a real nerd when it comes to all that stuff. But anyway,
it's amazing.
I digress.
Let's get some questions here. You can email us, tweet us, or text your questions 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Sean says, "Hey Taylor, in honor of the 20-year reunion of the Sun Belt Championship, what's a good beverage of choice to celebrate?" So Sean I didn't realize they won the Sun Belt, but Sean is a former Raging Cajuns kicker who I have met, and so that's what he's referred to, the 2005 Sun Belt champions. There you go. Shout out to the 05 Cajuns.
Wow. I have the perfect beverage for you that I was going to plug today, but you didn't ask. Crown chocolate.
Why is that the perfect beverage? Or are you just trying to plug it?
I'm trying to plug it. I thought that'd be funny.
I thought maybe you'd give me some type of like 20-year, some great 20-year whiskey or something.
Yeah, How about Crown Chocolate or Pappy 20 for the University of Louisiana, as they like to call themselves.
Oh, my goodness. Crown Chocolate. Okay. Is the Crown...
Yeah, Crown Chocolate is a real thing.
Last year, all the rage was that Crown Blackberry. Is that... do people not want that anymore?
It just... With the flavors with Crown, it just... Some flavors are more sought after they go away than others, like salted caramel. There's been a few of them. Salted caramel was definitely one of them.
I bought a bottle of that Crown Blackberry last year that I stumbled upon, thinking I would use it as trade bait because everybody, like, we do this segment and everybody would ask about it. So I saw it, I bought it. And that is still just sitting in a box in my cab that has never been touched. So anybody who wants one, I got one to trade. I don't know what it's probably worth all my baseball cards now, which is nothing. Ask Taylor, if someone unknowingly gives me a bottle of Purple Top Willet without realizing what they gave me, when they figure out their mistake, do I have to give the bottle back? Ooh.
We've talked about it on this show before, and I do believe in bourbon karma. That's totally up to you, or if you're a decent human being. I would, for sure, because I do believe in bourbon karma. Yeah, it just depends on what Purple Top do. You got to factor that in. I mean, if it's like something crazy, then yeah, absolutely, just swindle it away. Sure, why not?
We're short on time, but I've told this before. So Rodney Beloso, Cade's dad, when he did some advertising with us years ago, he knew I liked whiskey, so he had a bottle, and it was a bottle of Blanton's Gold. The dump date was 1999, Taylor. I was like, Hot Rod, I don't think you realize. Yeah. I was like, I don't think you realize what this is, man. I feel really, like, uncomfortable just taking this. So we made a deal that if they won the national championship, we'd open it together. And that was in 23. They won the Natty. We still haven't opened it. It's on my shelf. But Hot Rod and Cade, you both still owe me. Hey, I got like 10 seconds. Sorry, we flat ran out of time. Appreciate it. Good luck selling the Crown Chocolate.
Okay, man. See you. Thanks.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, hour number 2 is next.
AFR.
As we put a button here on our first hour, love telling you about our friends at Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar. And my goodness, I'm going to have such great opportunity over these next days and weeks and months to tell you about so many of the capital investments that not only Our Lady of the Lake, but FMOL, the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady. That's the multi-state health system, the standalone hospitals, the clinics, what they're doing to invest in our communities in Baton Rouge, all across Louisiana and Mississippi. But know this, whenever you watch LSU student athletes on the field, the court, the diamond, whatever it may be, the doctors and trainers that are caring for those world-class athletes are Our Lady of the Lake physicians. And the same physicians that care for the students and everyday champions like you and me. It's Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, championship health partners. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar.